What's up guys, my name is Devin and welcome back to another episode of Footballrs. In today's video, we're gonna be unboxing and reviewing the brand new Under Armour highlights. Bah! All right guys, so here are the cleats we're gonna be talking about today. Again, these are the Under Armour highlight. Let's take a look at the box. You have a black Under Armour box, big UA logo here, long UA logo here. Let's take a look at the tag, UA highlight MC 2.0 INTLKNT. I'm not sure what that means. These are the all white colorway in an 8.5. MSRP is $140. Let's take a look at the cleats. All right, guys, here are the cleats. Get them out of here, and wow, honestly, not too bad. It's been a long time since I've actually taken a look at a pair of Under Armour highlights, so this is kind of new to me. Back in the day, you guys probably don't know this, in high school, I loved the early highlights. I think it was the second and the third model. It's what I wore for high school, my sophomore and junior year. It's been a while, so it's kind of cool to get back to these and see kind of what they've changed, what they've updated, and where the Under Armour highlight is as of now. So my first impression of this cleat is that it is super sleek, super low profile. Honestly, not a lot going on. It's just super duper clean all the way through. There's not really a ton to talk about, but let's start with the upper. So the upper seems to be made from this kind of interesting knit material I don't really know too much about. I'm gonna do a lot of research before the full review. And then you have kind of this overlay part that kind of gives it a little bit more durability. So you see this shiny part here, it kind of goes all the way throughout the cleat and then up under the laces. And then all of the inside has that overlay as well. Some of the areas seem to have 2 layers. So you've got kind of 2 layers of those overlays here. So that's gonna help with some durability in the rear. But most of this cleat seems to be based off of this knit. I don't really know too much about it, but I will figure it out. All right, let me get the paper and stuff out so we can see more about this collar. And yeah, so this is a very lightweight knit. This kind of reminds me of some of the older Under Armour highlights when they were kind of like a skill cleat still, a skill cleat with a little bit of ankle support. But this is, I mean, there's not much here. So this kind of, I mean, it's a lot lighter than I expected. I think Under Armour is starting to make these kind of back to a more skill-oriented football cleat instead of a big skill lineman football cleat. This new knit material here is very nice. It stretches a good amount, but it does have some rigidity as well. So it's gonna give you a little bit of support all the way through. I am curious to see how it kind of feels all around your foot. I don't think there's no type of booty or anything in there. It's just the knit material and your foot kind of putting this together. Right here on the front, it says IntelliKnit, so I'm pretty sure that's what it meant on the jock tag when it was like INTLNK or whatever. So this is their IntelliKnit. So I don't really know too much about it, but it seems like a pretty stiff, durable, stretchy, nice knit material. I'm very excited to test it out, kind of see how it feels. But I like it. You know, from a first glance, first impression, I'm a huge fan of this material. We'll see kind of how it holds up. Next thing I want to talk about is the lacing system. Now, the lacing system isn't anything crazy. It's just some eyelets. There's no off-centerness to it. There's no weird loops going through. It just kind of hooks into that knit material we were just talking about, and then you do get some eyelets in the overlay part, so that's going to be nice as far as durability. Hopefully these don't tear. Sometimes knit can be prone to tearing if you put the laces directly into it, but these seem to be pretty well reinforced. I don't think that'll be an issue. Because of that overlay we kind of talked about all on the inside here, it's going to give this cleat a little bit more rigidity. If it was just the knit, I'd be a little bit more worried about durability and just overall the structure of the cleat, but this overlay gives it a nice secure feel, and then the heel cup as well is pretty stiff. We can talk about some of the details real quick. So of course you have this chrome Under Armour kind of going through the entire cleat. I really like how these looks. These give me like a Stormtrooper vibe, just all white, super clean, nothing really else going on. And then you do get a nice heel tab, which is always nice for slipping on the cleat, but you do not get one in the front. So you're gonna be kind of grabbing here and then just kind of doing it like this to get your foot in there. Then the only other real non-white detail here is the Under Armour logo on the heel. So just this, and then the Under Armour script that kind of goes through the cleat, and everything else is just completely whited out except for the traction plate we'll talk about in a bit, but just super murdered out. Well, the opposite of murdered out, super whited out, super duper clean, and it looks really good. Next thing I want to take a look at is the padding. So it's kind of tough because these are such a high cleat, but I'm going to try and roll them down a little bit for you guys. I don't know if that'll be doable, but we will find out. Oh yeah, so this has a lot of padding in the heel. It looks like it's a similar style to what we saw on the Clone Blur. So it's like a horseshoe of padding, and then there's like a little bit of freedom down here where your heel sits. So your heel might be up against this heel cup, which is something Under Armour has kind of done a lot, which sucks because it does cause a lot of blisters, but you do get this big horseshoe padding, so we'll see kind of how they work together and if it's going to be something that causes some discomfort. As always, we got to rip the insole out, which is always kind of a challenge. Actually, these came out pretty easy. All right, here we go. Ooh, all right, so this is one of the thickest insoles I think we've ever covered. Holy crap, look how thick that is. Here, let me grab another insole from another Under Armour cleats to kind of compare for you guys, because this is super thick. Here are the Spotlights we reviewed earlier in the season. Let's take this insole out and just kind of compare the two. And you can tell right away, man, the new Highlight insole is just so much thicker. They really gave this a ton of material in comparison to the Spotlight. Of course, the Spotlight is a skill-based cleat, and the Highlight is kind of a big skill cleat, but this is a ton of padding. I can't wait to see how this feels underfoot, and if it takes away from kind of that ground feel that you need when you're playing football, or if it just gives this like a nice luxury comfort type of feel. But this is definitely the thickest insole I've ever seen on a football cleat. This is rivaling like New Balance running shoe type insoles. This is insane, dude. All right, so last thing we're gonna talk about is the traction plate. So again, it's been a while since I've taken a look at an Under Armour Highlight, so I'm not positive, but I think this is a new traction plate. I don't think I've ever seen this before. Obviously, we look at a lot of cleats here, so it's tough to remember every little detail, but I'm pretty sure this is a new traction plate. Up front, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of these kind of diamond-shaped studs. They look like a baseball diamond if I were to give it a shape. And then you have 5 kind of intermediate studs here in the middle, and then this weird kind of dot texture that doesn't really provide anything. And then in the heel, you get 4 defined triangles. So these are straight up triangles, and these ones are more of those baseball diamond shapes. Also on the side of the studs, you guys can see they kind of have this little raised part. It's probably not gonna do much, but it might help you dig out of the dirt just a little bit, but you probably would never even notice it. Also, it's always fun to see how flexible cleat is, and these are pretty flexible. So typically big steel cleats are a little bit stiffer, but this actually feels pretty flexible. So I'm really excited to see if this performs more like a skill cleat with a collar, or if it's still kind of a traditional big skill football cleat. It seems to be kind of a balance of both. So I'm excited to see how it feels and kind of see which position I think these things are gonna be best for. Overall, I love how they look. I'm super excited to hear about all this new technology, the IntelliKnit, this new traction plate, some of the other stuff they got going on. Super clean silhouette, so I hope they perform as well as they look, because I really like how these football cleats look. And like I mentioned, back in the day when I first started talking about football equipment, Highlights were my go-to football cleat as a skill player. So I hope that these get back to their roots and that these are as good as they look. Let's get into the testing and review.
This whole month is brought to us by Q-Collar. The Q-Collar is revolutionary, proven technology to help protect the brain from repetitive head impacts that you likely aren't thinking about when you play, but do add up over time. I can't cover it all here, so make sure to check out our full video that explains everything you need to know about the Q-Collar and how it can help you. You can see that even more guys around the NFL are starting to choose Q-Collar, like Baltimore Ravens' Derrick Henry and Buffalo Bills' Dalton Kincaid have both adopted to wearing it to help keep them safer and on the field. These days, getting a brand new helmet can cost you well over $1,000, which is not easy for any of you guys or even any parents out there to do. Plus, the Q-Collar protects the brain in ways a helmet just can't. If you're interested in taking further steps to protect your future, check out Q30.com to check out the Q-Collar.
Now that you guys have watched the full unboxing, here's what we're gonna talk about in today's review. We're gonna take a look at the comfort, the fit and support, the traction, the style, what position these cleats are best for, and the price. The first thing we're gonna talk about is the comfort. For the most part, these are pretty cozy. The upper on these is built from their brand new IntelliKnit, and it's pretty sweet. The cuff also has a heel loop, and the material stretches nicely so you can slip your foot in these, no problem. Now I can't show you this because it's really hard to get a camera inside the cleat, but on the inside they have like a super thin layer of neoprene, which gives the cleat a really nice feeling all the way around your foot. Basically, it's on the other side of this, so I can't really show you guys, but trust me, it's in there. You'll feel it if you have the cleats. It just gives the cleat a really nice custom fit feel, which I love. Now going back to that cuff, I am a huge fan of this thing right here. I've always loved cuffs on football cleats, and this one right here is just perfect. It's lightweight, it's stretchy, it's soft to the touch, it just feels awesome all the way up around your ankle. For padding, these cleats have a nice thick horseshoe of padding in the heel, similar to what we saw on the Spotlights, but they do need a little bit more right where your heel meets the cleat. Without any padding there, you can really feel your heel pushing up against the heel cup, which is a little bit uncomfortable, and that's usually how you get blisters. Under Armour is kind of notorious for giving blisters to whoever's wearing their cleats. I wore these for about 30 minutes and I didn't really notice anything, but I didn't test them long enough. Another small bit of discomfort I noticed is that when you lace them up all the way nice and tight, you can kind of feel the pressure of the laces starting at the very top of the lacing system right here. I wish they put some sort of padding or something to kind of relieve that pressure like they did on their other cleats this year. The final comfort piece I want to talk about is their insole. I said it before in the unboxing and I'll say it again, this is the thickest insole I've ever seen on a football cleat. Super high rebound foam on these is super comfortable underfoot and one of the best insoles I've seen from a comfort standpoint. Overall, these cleats are really comfortable. There's a couple small things that can be a little bit bothersome. The fit on these is great. Like I mentioned before, their new IntelliKnit is pretty freaking good. It's compressive all the way around and that small bit of neoprene gives it a real custom feeling fit. Also, the overlays on the inside of the cleat give the material a little bit more side to side stability, which is really nice as well. The lacing system on these is pretty standard. There's not really much to talk about. It just kind of goes into the side of the cleat, laces up, and gives you a nice secure fit. The main talking point on these in every highlight cleat in the past is going to be this high cuff. These have a very high ankle cuff, and I absolutely love it. I've always been a fan of the highlights. I talked a little bit in the unboxing about how I wore them in high school, and this is my favorite cuff to date. These cleats are basically a low top. If you guys see, the actual structure of the cleat ends about right here, but with the cuff, you get that extended nice cuff area, and it's just really nice. So the cleat itself is like a lightweight skill cleat, but then you get a little bit of that extra support up top, which is awesome. The material itself gives you like a spat-like feel, so if you wear these, you might not have to tape them up like you usually do, or you still can if you want. It's super duper snug. It's just so good, man. I love the compressive feel around my ankle and the little bit of support and peace of mind that it adds. Overall, as far as big skill cleats go, these are probably the lightest out there, and I'm just a huge fan of how they fit and how much support they have. The next thing we're gonna talk about is the traction plate. The traction plate on these is Under Armour's scatter plate. Now, I'm pretty sure this is my first time testing this traction plate. Obviously, we test a lot of stuff here, so I can't remember every little detail, but I think this plate is new to me. Just to quickly break it down, it has 9 baseball diamond shaped studs in the front and then 4 true triangle shaped studs in the rear. And then you also have a few medial studs in the middle right here. I did feel like the studs were long enough to get some good traction in the grass, and I wasn't slipping or anything when coming out of the cut, so that's usually a good sign. It definitely didn't have that raw feel like you get with the Vapor Edges, but that's likely because of 2 things. These are a cleat built for big skills, and then of course that foam insole is so thick on these. It's a much more cozy, soft feel instead of that raw feel you get with some of the other skill cleats out there. The plate itself is pretty flexible and does a good job kind of springing you into that next step, which I really like. Overall, the plate makes this cleat feel like a big skill football cleat, but it's still a pretty good traction plate overall, just a little bit soft and not as raw as a true skill cleat would be. The next thing we're going to talk about is the style. I have always loved the look of the highlights, and these are some of my favorite to date. I feel like a lot of Under Armour cleats usually look much cooler on the website than they do in person, but these ones are exactly as advertised. They are extremely clean and extremely simple, and I can't get enough of them. I mentioned it in the unboxing, but these kind of give me like a stormtrooper vibe or maybe a combat boot feel, and I love it. It looks so good. I really like the overall simplicity and how low-key the branding is on these. You get that Under Armour script logo on the tongue area, the UA logo on the inside heel, and then the IntelliKnit bit on the top of the cuff, but that's it. Super minimal, super low-key. I love it. It's just super clean, it's super streamlined, and the all white is absolutely perfect in my opinion. As far as other colorways, there's not too many. They have the white, the black, the red, and then a blue colorway. So if you guys want something with a lot of colorways, these are not gonna be the cleat. They're extremely limited in their colors, but at the end of the day, you can't go wrong with an all white or an all black football cleat on any team. Overall, it's a great looking cleat. I love how minimalist it is, but I do wish they had more colorways. The next thing we're gonna talk about is what position these cleats are gonna be best for. Now, honestly, this was a pretty tough choice for me to make. These kind of feel like both a skill cleat and a big skill cleat, but it's gonna come down to your guys' personal preference. They're a lightweight, technically low cut cleat with that extended ankle cuff. The traction plate on them does give them a bit of a big skill feel, but some of you guys might like that at the skill position. In my mind, if I had to choose one or the other, I'd say these are more of a big skill cleat, but I do feel like some skill guys might prefer these over a traditional skill football cleat. So basically, these are gonna be a great cleat for quarterbacks, running backs, linebackers, and defensive ends, but I can see the right wide receiver or the right DB in these as well if they just really need that ankle support. Maybe you have some ankle issues and you just want a little bit of extra support up here, these would be a good option. Overall, these are just one of the most versatile cleats on the market. Maybe you're new to football, you haven't got a position yet, and you're kind of looking for something that could be a linebacker cleat or a wide receiver cleat. These might be a good option because they're kind of give you the best of both worlds, and they're kind of a good hybrid option for all you guys who don't really have a position yet. Regardless, I can see a lot of guys loving these this fall because of their duality and just how cool they are. The next thing we're gonna talk about is the price. The retail on these is $140. Cleats are getting more and more expensive, but honestly, this price doesn't feel too bad. The higher tier models of big skill football cleats lately have been up near $200, so this seems kind of like an okay asking price at $140. These cleats have a premium feel with the new knit material, and then the overlays on these give them some good structure and durability as well, so you shouldn't really have to worry about these lasting all season. They should be fine. The quality on these seems to be top tier for a little bit cheaper of a price tag, which is great. Honestly, these are probably my favorite big skill football cleat for under $150, so if you guys have a hard $150 budget, these might be the perfect cleat for you. So overall, I love these. I think that's pretty clear. I talked a little bit about my love for the past highlights, and they had some big shoes to fill, pun intended, and these absolutely delivered. These exceeded my expectations in many ways. They were pretty comfy, they fit well, and they're pretty supportive for such a lightweight football cleat. The IntelliKnit is absolutely excellent and makes the cleat and makes them one of my favorite big skill options on the market for the 2024 season. The traction plate was also pretty solid. It's definitely not my favorite big skill cleat. I just love the versatility of this cleat and how many different positions can wear this, and I think a lot of you guys are gonna like this cleat this fall. There you guys have it. There's the full unboxing review on the Under Armour Highlight. Huge fan of these cleats. Hope that you guys are too. Let me know if you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, like the video, comment what you guys want to see us review next, and subscribe for more videos just like this one. My name is Devin, and thank you guys so much for tuning into another episode of Footballrs.